All right, in the modern age of team sport politics, even something as evil as rape becomes a partisan football. In New York City, from January to May, we've seen an 8% jump in rapes over the same time last year, as well as an 18% rise in misdemeanor sex crimes. Pretty bad. Prompting the New York Times to defend Mayor de Blasio, who, quote, has been prey to a tabloid narrative that has insisted the city was returning to the days of taxi driver. So you hear that phrase, has been prey? Amazing. Only in a Times article on rape is the mayor the victim. How does that happen? But this gaffe shows the media's chosen bias regarding sex crime. When discussing campus assaults, it's always an epidemic, even if the numbers are exaggerated. But if they're in New York under a progressive mayor, you explain a rise in these attacks as a sign of progress. It's true, the paper's non-alarmist view, that the crime wave is due to an increased reporting of rape. It's possible, but unprovable. How do you know how much rape goes on if it's unreported? All you can go by is the jump in reported rape compared to before, and believe me, it's jumped. This is just a theory meant to explain away a stain on de Blasio's reign, and it's an excuse only afforded incompetent progressives. When rape rises, one would normally rage, but under a leftist, it's seen as progress. Well done, Gray Lady, betraying women in the service of ideology. When the numbers go even higher, how will you hail that then? KG, you're kind of an expert in law, or so you claim. What about this theory?
It's documented.
What about this theory that, okay, when the numbers go up, it's because people are reporting it more. Right. How can you know that if it was unreported before?
Exactly. It makes no sense. So they clearly have an agenda here, which is to try and help de Blasio, and he does need a lot of help.
Yeah.
This was a horrific, one of the rapes that you're talking about, one was so badly beaten, was by MS-13 gang members. I'm very familiar with that gang, having been on a gang task force and prosecuted many of those cases. There is no way that you can make any excuse for that, or trying to explain it away, or say that it's due to some kind of reporting, error. The problem is there are real issues right now in the streets of New York that I think can also tie in part, to stop and frisk.
Well, Geraldo, couldn't you apply this mentality to these police incidents that we've been watching for the last 2 years? That it's a sign of progress, that people are seeing them and they're reporting them because they have cell phones. You could use this logic on anything.
Well, I know that stop, question, and frisk, to Kimberly's point, the abolition or the gross de-escalation of stop and frisk has led, I believe, almost directly to the spike in murder. Now, is there a comparable analogy when it comes to sexual assaults? I don't know. I don't think so. But, I think that you can make a point. And if the leaders of the PBA are correct and the Sergeants Benevolent Association are correct, the police are feeling a bit demoralized. They don't feel that Comrade Mayor de Blasio, as they style him in the tabloids, certainly the New York Post, they don't feel like he has their back. Commissioner Bratton, though, today, the police commissioner, came with a very lusty, if I could use an unfortunate adverb there, passionate defense of the mayor, and said that the spike in violent crime and murders particularly is insignificant, particularly when compared to Baltimore, which, as we know, runs.
Well, not a fair comparison. Right. Yeah, but look at Baltimore.
Yeah, it's so much worse there.
I know it is.
Chicago, Baltimore, okay.
If you use this
Cleveland, Detroit.
Now, they're saying that burglaries are down, Dana. So by this logic, they could just say, well, people are just reporting the burglaries less.
Do you remember when President Obama came in and in the middle, right after the financial crisis, and he's comes up with a big spending program, and they come up with a phrase, jobs saved.
Yeah.
It's unprovable, but the media totally ran with it and said, oh, he saved so many jobs, but there was never a number.
Yeah.
But it was a way to say, oh, well, it would have been worse without it.
Yeah.
And I don't think Bratton is just defending de Blasio. Bratton's defending Bratton.
That's true.
These numbers will reflect on his legacy as well.
Yeah, he's in a bit of a bind. Eric, they often call this an uptick.
People are being raped and people are dying. I think it's a little of everything we're talking about. I think it's a little bit of the demoralization of the police force. Thank you, Bill de Blasio, with the whole issue about talking to his son of color if he's ever confronted by a New York City police officer, how to handle it. So you demoralize the police. You embolden the bad guys when they see all the finger pointing at the cops. So you have that as well. And then maybe it's some of the gun laws. New York City is of the toughest gun laws in America. People know it. They understand
So people are raping because they don't have guns? The women don't carry guns?
If I'm a bad guy and
Women should.
if I want to rape, murder, or rob someplace,
Your
I'm
solution
probably
to
gonna go
crime
to a
is that
place-
everybody should have a gun.
It
Not
would
a bad
certainly
one.
make crime go down. Yes, I honestly believe crime
Totally
would go down.
unprovable, and I'm glad you brought it up with your...
No, it is
where
provable.
There was a city in Georgia where they required households to have a gun in the household, and crime plummeted. The numbers completely fell apart, straight down. Robberies, armed robberies, violent assaults on all levels.
And there are plenty of towns in America where the 4-year-old has shot his 2-year-old sister by using daddy's gun. It's not anecdotal, it's real life. This is not the OK Corral.
Let's point out that at the 8 days into this month, 13 people have been murdered in Baltimore, breaking May's record. Is this due to more reporting?
Yeah, I mean, it's just not. That's what it is.
Yep.
Stop talking about the murders. Then we won't know they're happening. And then we can all just live in a bubble that isn't reality. This makes no sense to me. It really doesn't. And I want to go to your point about the police officers. When you shame your police department and law enforcement, my goodness, and you take away the effective tools that they need to police these communities and keep them vibrant and safe, where the economy can thrive and people can send their kids to school, this is what you get. And there is no excuse for this, because guess what? We've had the benefit of history. We know what works. And stop, question, and frisk is legal in the United States of America. This is the problem.
Not only shame in New York, but in Baltimore, instructing the police to stand down when they see violence happening, that's got to be demoralizing too. And maybe that's part of the reason the spike in crime.